Jesus, sweetheart. That's fantastic.
Carmela's whole face lighting up when she hears Meadow might pull in $175,000. I mean, sure, that was great money back then, but come on, that's still a far cry from doctor money or the lifestyle she's been raising Meadow to expect. Adjusted for inflation, it's like $272,000 today, and that was supposed to be Meadow's starting salary at 25. Realistically, she'd be clearing $400,000, today's dollars, with bonuses by 30. And if she stayed on track, she could have made partner by 35, raking in millions.
And don't give me any of that poverty of the Mezzogiorno bullshit. We're in fucking Caldwell, New Jersey.
A shame she'd never get around to solving the poverty of the Mezzogiorno.
From the poverty of the Mezzogiorno.
But also, she's not getting made partner like it's some mafia ceremony. Those books aren't open just because she shows up. And honestly, the writers clearly needed to wrap up Meadow's arc fast. Oh yeah, she becomes a high-powered, morally compromised attorney. Boom, done. That $175,000 figure? Take it with a boulder of salt. Was she even in law school yet?
Work at the Poverty Law Center. Even got into starting salaries. He was talking 170.
Patrick Parisi saying it doesn't make it gospel. He's obviously trying to impress Tony and Carmela, selling this fantasy of him and Meadow as the next great power couple. Then again, people reacting like, 175,000? What's next? She does personal injury and hits $1 million? Crack me up. Or the classic, what are you, a kid? You got no idea what money is. Because yeah, $175,000 in your early 20s 20 years ago was insane. Most people will never see that salary in their entire lives.
Well, I told you, she's taking pre-med classes. Well, she's not going to be a doctor.
Still, calling $175,000 doctor money is wild. What doctor? Where? Doing what?
Anthony Jr., you get up! Why? I don't have to go to school, I'm suspended.
I can't believe I spent half of season 1 convinced Carmela was going to be revealed as the real boss of the whole operation.
Oh no. Jeez Louise.
And the very first episode I watched had her whipping out an AK-47 like it was a baseball bat she keeps by the door. She looked way more intimidating than Tony in that moment, just casually jogging around with an assault rifle, totally unfazed, ready to start blasting.
You fucking piece of shit. You are sinking this whole family into your misery with your...
She gave off major smile sweetly while plotting your demise energy, and I genuinely thought the show was hinting at some big twist where she's the real power behind everything.
Something I gotta confess.
And then later, when Tony was about to confess something and she was quietly adjusting her glass of wine like she was deciding the best angle to launch it at his head, fearless. I fully believed the season would slowly peel back layers until, surprise, Carmela is the true head of the family. But apparently a female boss? In the States? Unthinkable, according to some people. Which just goes to show, sometimes the biggest plot twist is my own naivete. Honestly, I can't stand any of Meadow's boyfriends.
Her body is mad ripe. Yeah, but did you fuck her yet?
Jackie Jr. was clueless, out of his depth, and just an unwelcome presence all around. Not remotely good enough for her. Finn had his own issues too. Combative, nosy, always convinced his every thought mattered more than it did.
Hey, I'm Noah Tannenbaum.
And don't even get me started on Noah, the absolute worst. Nothing irritates me more than a smug, self-important know-it-all who's way out of his league and still manages to neglect his partner. His ego needed its own parking permit.
Finn got a job working construction.
Good for Finn then.
That said, Finn at least had redeeming qualities. The guy showed up early to work and wasn't afraid to scrub Polly's tire tracks, like he actually appreciated the opportunity. He had a good attitude, and honestly, by the end, I'm not sure Meadow was good enough for him. She was well on her way to becoming a full-blown mafia princess, excusing every insane thing her family did, while Finn clearly wanted nothing to do with that world. Good for him for bailing. He was one of the few genuinely decent people on the show. Their relationship didn't explode, it just slowly wilted. Finn loved her, sure, but he wasn't built for that lifestyle, and deep down, he knew it. Still, he had backbone.
Plus, you came in so early today.
I just do what the job is.
When he first met Vito and the guys, they busted his chops for being a Padres fan, and he actually fired back. A bold move considering he hadn't yet watched someone get glassed in the face. Maybe that's why he ultimately got out. He could see through Meadows' nonsense, and he knew the longer he stayed, the closer he'd drift toward becoming an accessory to something he wanted no part of. Given the circumstances, the only reasonable partner choice for Meadow might have been Patsy Parisi's kid. And look, Jackie Jr. might have been the most handsome guy on the show. Finn wasn't much of a face, but the man had abs like a mountain range. Meadow really was Tony Soprano's daughter. She had the libido to appreciate that.
Jamal Ginsburg, the Hasidic homeboy.
Jamal Ginsburg, though? No idea what she saw there. Skinny, odd-looking, wearing sandals. Yet somehow, she still gave him a pash.
Who was there when I told the Ginny Sack joke?
Paulie. I remember Albert saying he didn't get a gift.
Johnny had built this whole Ralph hit around Ginny's Hana. This idea that she was out there trying her absolute hardest, saint-like, saintly even, to lose weight while these guys mocked her behind his back.
What she needs is her own zip code.
He tells Tony exactly that. The idea that she was being mocked, despite how hard she supposedly works.
He made a very insensitive joke about her body.
So in his mind, he's not just whacking Ralph. He's defending something pure, noble, tragic, operatic, all that.
Jen?
And then, he's not even out of the house 10 minutes. The man comes downstairs and finds Ginny waist deep in contraband.
I'm not out of the house 10 minutes?
Kit Kats, Swiss cake rolls, the whole Hostess extended universe. And she looks at him like she has no idea what he just walked in on. She lied, bold-faced, cheerfully. It's almost impressive. That's the moment everything collapses for him.
You never made a joke about Ginny Sack.
Not like that.
Not. Yeah, well, fuck him and his highfalutin bullshit.
Because suddenly, the moral high ground he'd been standing on so triumphantly isn't really there. The crusade doesn't feel righteous anymore. It feels embarrassing. Misguided. He wasn't about to die for honor. He was about to die because he didn't realize who was actually keeping that bitch in devil dogs. And so it clicks.
I get it!
It's his version of Tony's I get it moment in the desert. Not enlightenment exactly, more like acceptance. Acceptance that Ginny really is fat. Acceptance that she really is sneaking junk food. Acceptance that she is who she is, and he loves her anyway. More carbs, more insulin, more everything, but still love. Honestly, it's one of the only scenes in the show where love prevails, even if it's the messy, delusional, human kind. In that instant, Johnny just lets go. The murder, the vendetta, the grand gesture. Because the fantasy he was avenging was never real. But the love, that was. And so, 95 moles a pound. I swear, I will never get over how Bobby Bacalieri III didn't beat the stuffing out of beta male AJ in Season 4, Episode 11.
She's here!
Oh, Jesus.
These kids just lost their mother. Their father is spending every waking hour brooding at the cemetery, and meanwhile Janice the vulture is circling the household like she's waiting for the meat to fall off the bone. The boys finally escape the madness for one normal night, and what does AJ do? Rolls out the welcome mat by acting rude as hell.
We were playing Ouija board, and then AJ did this seance.
Dad?
Then announces the fun activity will be summoning the dead with a Ouija board.
You scared these kids half to death.
Very comforting for two freshly traumatized children. And then the wet sponge incident. Whatever that was. Peak AJ. All of Tony's worst traits, none of the backbone. You just know that after what went down at Holston's, he spent the rest of his life selling dime bags, getting dumped by girls way out of his league, and crying in parking lots about the state of the world. Meanwhile, imagine the actual happiness AJ could have had if Bobby were his dad. A real role model, an actual steady presence, someone who doesn't think contacting the dead is appropriate bereavement bonding. But no, we even get to Bobby Sr.'s funeral and Bobby Jr. is still looking up to AJ, who's rambling on about who knows what.
You asshole, you asshole.
That should have been the perfect moment for him to finally tell AJ off. It's honestly one of the reasons I could never get behind AJ or his season 6 problems, where every minor inconvenience suddenly became a spiritual crisis.
I'm supposed to get a vasectomy when this is my male heir? Look at him.
And Tony's line, "I'm supposed to get a vasectomy when this is my male heir? Look at him," has never felt more correct. Look, everyone knows the theory. The members-only guy pulls a Michael Corleone in the diner bathroom, comes out strapped, and blows away Tony, with Patsy pulling the strings. Sure, Patsy had motive. Tony had his twin brother taken out, and Patsy's already stood in Tony's backyard, gun in hand, peeing in the pool like a very agitated lawn ornament. But here's the thing. We know how Patsy handles a hit.
Stay the fuck away from Tony Soprano. My face is the last one you'll see. It won't be cinematic.
He told Gloria Trillo, "It won't be cinematic." That's his whole brand. Unshowy, unglamorous, distinctly not Coppola-coded. Meanwhile, the members-only guy is practically a walking Godfather homage. He goes to the restroom just like Michael. The tension mirrors the restaurant scene. Everything screams cinematic. Patsy would never sign off on a hit that stylish. He'd veto that immediately. Too much symbolism, too many film school fingerprints. So by that logic, Patsy can't be behind whatever does or doesn't happen at Holston's. And honestly, with everyone arguing scenarios, New York setups, Meadow distractions, Polly suspiciously surviving, you could make a case that half the Eastern Seaboard was plotting something. But at the end of the day, all we actually see is a black screen. And a black screen is the opposite of cinematic. It's anti-cinematic. It's the writer saying, guess who likes non-cinematic endings? Patsy. Think about that, wise guys. So maybe Patsy is a patsy. Maybe he's a mastermind. Maybe he's just Kafka with a gun. But either way, Fade to Black starts looking a whole lot like a punchline only he would appreciate. If Tony Soprano really does get whacked in the finale, then honestly, it's curtains for warm, well-meaning, chronically doomed restaurateur Artie Bucco.
What's gonna do with your friend Artie Bucco's restaurant?
Because the minute Tony's gone, that's when criminal mastermind in waiting Benny Fazio swoops in. And that's when the non-stop ass rape era begins for poor Artie.
We just don't want this place to become another mob hangout like the old Vesuvio.
What can you do? Vesuvio is absolutely going to be paying protection. And Benny, finally ascending to the criminal genius he always thought he was, is going to be shaking him down like it's his birthright. And if Benny somehow gets bumped up to capo of whatever's left of Christopher Moltisanti's old crew, forget it. That's Benny's moment. The real question is whether Benny has it in him to be as effective a capo as Chrissy ever was. And honestly, he might be. Maybe even more so. Hard to prove it until he's actually running something, but I can see it. Most people buy into the theory that once Tony's gone, New York absorbs Jersey, folds the whole family into a glorified regular crew, and puts someone like Paulie Gualtieri or Patsy Parisi in charge. And sure, the show does establish that every soldier has his own rackets, so Artie would still be paying Benny, just with less of it staying in Benny's pocket. But honestly, I always thought the New York absorbs Jersey thing was boring. We want to imagine these characters spinning off into strange, chaotic futures, not getting quietly reorganized in a corporate merger. If anything, I picture Charmaine Bucco staging a silent coup at Vesuvio and becoming the true dawn of the Bucco Empire, while Benny has much bigger problems than terrorizing a guy who actually owns a gun. The series purposely leaves Artie on a high note, surrounded by misery yet somehow floating above it. The message is clear. Artie's gonna make it. All he's got to do is let it slip, very casually, that he kicked Benny's ass. Who in Jersey is going to respect a criminal mastermind who gets handled by Artie freaking Bucco? Nobody.
Since word got out to the regulars about their credit cards, Benny did a real number here, Tony.
Benny's credibility evaporates on contact. In the end, Artie's fine. More than fine. Against all narrative logic, he might be the only guy in New Jersey who actually lands on his feet. Ajay fails at crime with a kind of cosmic consistency. The kid is batting a perfect 0.000. Anytime he even thinks about doing something bad, the universe personally intervenes to snitch on him.
And you said, what kind of animal smokes marijuana at his confirmation?
He smokes weed at his confirmation? Immediately caught.
It's 8th grade history, man. Stealing the sacramental wine? It's not sacramental.
Drinks the communion wine? Busted before the buzz even hits. Steals the test answers? Gets bluffed into confessing like a toddler who thinks he's negotiating with the FBI. Trashes the neighbor's pool with his idiot friends? A pie chart takes him down. Parks in a pile of leaves? His SUV explodes like he was trying to assassinate himself with Autumn. Every attempt at rebellion turns into slapstick tragedy. He talks to reporters and Carmela vaporizes him. He tries to kill Uncle Junior and drops the knife like it was coated in butter. He even attempts to kill himself and fails at that. And honestly, who plans a suicide involving a too long rope, a cinder block, and a plastic bag? Pick a lane, my guy. It's like he Googled ways to drown and clicked, I'm feeling lucky. People say talent skips a generation, and AJ is walking, whining proof. Are there any examples of AJ getting away with something? Well, he did manage to rock that wannabe Puerto Rican chinstrap beard for a season without getting arrested by the fashion police, which might be the biggest crime of all. And to his credit, he threw a surprisingly competent kegger once. He even handled the cup situation like a tiny, useless bouncer when that punk tried to sneak in his own cup. That might be his peak. What's funniest is how he oscillates between sneering with joy at violence like a baby sociopath and then crying to his therapist about the decline of Western civilization like he's a 40-year-old professor who just discovered TikTok. AJ Soprano, truly a man who couldn't successfully commit a misdemeanor if the punishment for failure was having to try again.
Your friend, the assemblyman, saw to it I was transferred to the property room, nor am I eligible for overtime.
Tony didn't ruin Officer Leon Wilmore's life over a traffic ticket. He ruined it because he could.
Hey, the traffic
The
cop...
ticket was just the spark. The real issue was that Tony couldn't stand a guy who actually believed the rules applied to everyone.
Tony, I spoke to his unit commander. Nobody likes the guy. He's a goddamn rabble-rouser.
Leon wasn't corrupt, wasn't intimidated by Tony's connections, wouldn't take a bribe, and had the audacity to be an honest, hardworking cop enforcing the law equally. That alone was enough to make Tony see red. And so Leon's whole arc spirals from there. First, he's forced into a side gig at Fountains of Wayne. Then, he eventually lamb chops his way to Elvis country to work maintenance at Notre Dame, slow clapping his heart out for some guy with genetic soup so rancid it should come with a warning label. That's a journey. Tony's ultimate screw you wasn't even the demotion. It was when he tried to hand Leon $40 to make sure his fountain order showed up in one piece. He wasn't paying for good delivery. He was offering what he imagines an apology looks like, because the only language Tony speaks fluently is money. When he learned Leon lost his overtime and got knocked off patrol, Tony felt compelled to shuffle back into Fountains of Wayne with a few bills, trying to make it right in the only way his limited emotional vocabulary allows.
You gonna bust it off the street?
Fuck him. Isn't that what you wanted?
Yeah, but it's kind of harsh.
Whether that came from genuine guilt or just ego maintenance is debatable. But either way, Tony was trying to plaster over the damage he and Zellman caused with the world's saddest, cash-based Band-Aid. If you're done watching Tony throw dollar bills at the wreckage he caused, stick around, because Leon's story is just getting started. Subscribe to catch every turn.